Welcome back into another Dragon Ball Super card game video, and today you saw the title. I kind of want to talk about the multiple formats that the Dragon Ball Super card game could have. And this isn't so much to talk about rotation. If you caught our team talk yesterday or day before, depending on when this comes up, we kind of talked about it a little bit. Honestly, I'm not really up for rotation. I'm cool to play any form of the game. I do like having the freedom of being able to play whatever card that I want, which is kind of the reason why I'm bringing this up into having multiple formats for the game. Now, before I go into any of them, well, I guess a couple of things. One, if you haven't subscribed, go ahead and do that. I'm actually over 60% for the last 28 days, which I appreciate because it actually went up. But not only that, you can follow me on TikTok here or on here, because I plan to put out a bunch of shorts, which I don't think is going to be all on YouTube. The second thing is that basically multiple forms of the game can exist, but I don't know if that's going to be enough to actually help the game, or at least to satisfy the player base. The player base, like I said before, is pretty competitive, and more things to the competitive crowd is more things to the current crowd. At the end of the day, we need more players, we need new players, which is why a lot of my content in the next couple months after this month is done is going to be focusing on budget and as well as new players, because that's just what's successful on my channel anyway. This is something to consider, because when the newest event, the two newest events came out, which are the Dragon Ball Fest event, where it has the new event packs, a couple of the new cell chain, which I'm very happy about, and Android cards that are coming into those packs. It's going to be in Arlington, Texas, and as well as Miami, Florida. These two events actually only allow the Unison Warrior block, just like how we had the side event for Nationals. So only cards from those sets or that block is allowed within those events, which is a little surprising. And I've actually given my opinion on Facebook, which if you haven't seen it, this is the gist, or this is the whole post of it. The whole gist of it is that I think there's a lot of like excessiveness going on when it comes to the reaction of this. I don't really agree with just Bandai blatantly just putting it out for the next two major events, since we really are not going to have that many events this year, just like how we did last year. It's mainly probably going to be some in person and a lot of webcam, and the Nationals and Worlds, hopefully Worlds returns. And because of that, we're looking at the next 2 months as these are the only two events, and now I have to play a rotation format, and some people are just not happy about that. Am I happy about that? I don't know. I'm very whatever, because I haven't really played the format. That's I haven't really paid attention to the Unison Warrior block. I think Sin Shenron is probably one of the strongest decks in that block, just looking at the decks available. Maybe King Cold and maybe a couple other things, but at the end of the day, I mentioned in the post that this is a business. They're trying something new, they're going to do it, and if attendance and as well as feedback and whatever is not going to be what they want, then they're not going to do it again. It's just simple as that. The game is kind of like an up and down. It is something that where you can devote the time and express yourself and you know, give that feedback, but really you don't have to play. I mean, there's other games to play, and you can always come back. That's just the real truth of it, just being transparent. I will stand by what I said, is that competitive players do have some sort of echo chamber, where if it's not something competitive, or if it's not something that we're used to, as in like hyper competitive play against each other, win big events, whatever it may be, then they're just not satisfied. And we're only used to that because we have a lot of competitive players, but not so much casual, and not so much people who just are now getting into the game. And that's where the reach comes in. And if you take a look at the main website, I think they mentioned something about a tutorial day or like a new player day at the fests or the cons that are going to be there. We will see how they turn out. I mean, there's not really much else I can say about it. It is something that's just kind of up in the air. Am I going to be attending? Most likely not for Florida, because of the flights are a little too expensive. Maybe Texas, I will see. That really comes down to, as far as the actual title of the video, my bad, the 5 formats that I think would be able to change the game forever. The first one is gonna have a standard format. I mean, it's pretty straightforward in saying what a standard format is. If you look at Magic, or if you look at anywhere else that has other different types of formats, which arguably, if you look at Commander and as well as a couple of things for Magic, I don't know how it would last that long without actually having different formats. Yu-Gi-Oh! Is a little bit different, and I'm not going to go down there, so don't worry about that. Either way, standard to me is basically what we have right now, which includes everything on the ban list, and as well as everything that we have in the card pool. Now that it's not so much going to change the way of the game forever because we already have it, it's just defining what a standard format is, whether it's best of 3 or best of 1, is really good for the game, so that way we're all aware of it. Then we have the block formats, which we're looking at right now for these next 2 events that I just mentioned, where the unison block format and as well as the other blocks that we have. Of course, you can take a look at any time with the strategy page and just look at some of the blocks that they talk about. For instance, this is the infinite unity warrior or infinite unity block, which is set 7 to 9, which is kind of a small card pool, which means you can always just add another set. It's not or add like certain cards to the set. And that's just going to take some time to design and things like that, but that's going to be up to Bandai to see how successful or how fun it actually would be to do that. There's also the theme boosters too, which I'll mention in a second, but I mean, stuff like this, like the Infinite Unity has Alliance, which we don't really see Alliance or Rival too much outside of blue, yellow, and sometimes red, green. And we have a whole bunch of other cards that actually could have those things. So like having a Rival and Alliance cards out of the newer sets that don't include these, as far as set 7 to 9, and having that as a specific format would be great. Also could include like the first 3 sets or the first 2 sets and having a Go format, just with updated cards. I mean, just imagine having the first couple sets with unisons and like a couple other things like counterplays and things like that. It'd be really interesting. I don't know how it would actually play out, but it'd really be really interesting and it's something to try out. And then I mentioned theme boosters. You could have a whole like block format of theme boosters, and people would pick basically the archetype within those themes and just go against each other that way. There are a lot of cards that we just don't see, and it sucks because some of them are actually really cool or designed really well, but it's just not as powerful as the things that we're using in a standard format. And again, I'm going to say this again, for any of these formats, they can exist next to the standard format. I said it in the post where I think they should have just had a regular tournament, in real life tournament, and then the second day would be the Unison Warrior block, because most of the time people are going to stay the weekend and they can just they do the regular tournament and they can just check out the second one the next day, especially if they scrub out. That's the type of thing, like people scrub out, like what else is there to do? I'm gonna go ahead and go get this event. Not only that, just have good pricing for these things. It just entice these people to come and try these formats out. People don't know what they want until they actually have it. So come on. The next couple ones, it's gonna be speed battles or speed duels, as in like other places or other games that might have it. Just having 4 life and like half the time to actually play would be really, really cool. I don't know what that looks like, but I think speed duels is cool in concept in general, especially since like these games take up to an hour sometimes, just for 2 games. So I mean, this would be kind of cool. And the 4th one is online format. So this is such a pipe dream at this point. I don't think we're ever gonna have an online game client, but if we ever do, there's 2 ways they can approach it. They can introduce like the first 2, 3, 4 sets and have a ban list for it in case like Storm or Super Saiyan 3 or Mecha Frieza, it would be kind of overbearing or overpowering. Or they can do the Master Duel way and just have everything available, basically like the OCG, and have it be free to play and just earn everything or just buy everything that you want to. And the last format is your format. I want to hear from you. Do you want the game to stay the same? Do you want something different? What is your opinion? I would love to see you say something in the comments below. And with that, I am done. I will see you in the next one.